The search for a decorative wall hanging to place above the sofa in my living room ended when I saw a lovely James Coleman painting titled Anchored in Avalon. It pictured a beautiful little Californian coast town with seagulls flying overhead. Anchored in the port were several sailboats. I asked one of the workers at the thrift store, a middle aged woman with blonde hair and two gold teeth, if she could help me lower the painting from the high shelf. Wait, she said, I just need to find my ladder. Several minutes later, she came back carrying a flimsy looking stepping stool featuring 3 height levels. I couldn't find my ladder, she said, but I found this stool on a display shelf and I believe it should work. The price tag on the stepping stool read $2.99, and it didn't look like something that could support much more than an underweight 6-year-old. Here, I said, I can climb that. Oh no, don't worry, she said, I got this. She positioned the stool underneath the painting and began to cautiously ascend the steps. It shook precariously, but seemed to be supporting her weight. Just as she settled both feet onto the 3rd step and began to reach for the painting, the stepping stool collapsed into a twisted aluminum heap. The woman saved herself from the fall by grasping the shelf with her hands and then dropping back down to the floor. I was amazed by her agility. She was old enough to be my mother. One would expect a certain amount of tottering by this age, but she seemed skilled and even graceful in the way she recovered from the fallen stool. I remembered the time that I had slipped and fallen on a patch of ice, fracturing my right leg, and the time that I had stepped up onto a swivel office chair to retrieve a book from a high shelf when the chair spun unexpectedly, hurling me to the floor, injuring both my elbow and my knee. There was also the time that I was running across the yard when my left foot dropped into a shallow dip in the ground. The unexpected terrain disoriented me, and I collapsed into a mound on the grass. Many times I have fallen down and humiliated myself in front of a great number of people, but here was a middle-aged woman who, when the entire structure that supported her weight fell to pieces, was still able to remain upright, dignity intact. I realized then that she had immediately seen me for who I was, a person who certainly would have injured himself had the stool collapsed beneath him. Perhaps he would twist an ankle or fracture a wrist, she was probably thinking. There's something a bit unsettling about this. Shouldn't I, as part of the younger generation, be looking out for my elders? Shouldn't they see me as the young, agile person who was able to step up in dangerous situations? As I left the store carrying the painting, I imagined that the woman was probably wondering how I would manage to hang it up in my living room without wounding a foot or injuring my head.